But I think main thing's the legal cases. And do you think he's going to win the election? Or
It's going to be hard. I think they're going to absolutely try to rig it again in those blue cities, in swing states. That's what they did in 2020. It's going to be hard to beat that, but if we overwhelmingly get out to the polls, we can win.
yeah, so I think we were talking about the Trump interview and the economy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it was a good interview. Trump really got to make his case. He got over 250 million impressions on X, which is fantastic and significantly outshined the Republican debate, which last I checked had about 12 million views or so. So significantly higher, really outshining that. And ultimately, it was a good opportunity to get in front of the public. However, I felt that there could have been a greater focus on kitchen table issues like the economy that really matter to voters and win over the voters in the election.
Yeah, I think like kitchen table issues are important. I think we talked about this earlier. How I think kind of the biggest thing was we had the sort of traditional Republican debate on the news, but we which featured all the other Republican candidates. But we really wanted to hear like what Trump had to say, and him doing the social media post was really like a new thing, sort of a new medium for not a debate, but for hearing from the candidate. And so I think the debate was interesting, but for the interview, hearing about the kitchen table issues, but really just wanting to see the candidate. And I think we also talked about this, how Trump very much is telling a story, and so it was kind of like getting to hear like the next chapter of the story he's telling for where the country's headed. But yeah, I think the kitchen table issues are important. That's usually like why I like to watch the rallies a lot. He usually talks about like the kitchen table issues or like the family issues at the or political issues to solve at the rallies, which is really good. But have you seen any of the rallies? Or
Yeah, the rallies are fantastic. Like the president said, such energy, such passion at those rallies, such passion in the country for his policies, for the movement. Ultimately, really looking forward to our election and winning that. We got to get all the troops out to vote and make sure that we do fantastic in that election. But there's just such passion that really is driving people both to the rallies and to the polls. And I'm excited to see what's next in the Trump story.
yeah, I think in the interview, I know like Tucker Carlson talked about how like there was a possibility like TV was dead and social media was kind of the new way for candidates to reach the people. Do you think that's kind of like a realistic, I guess, idea or like vision for the future, or what do you think?
Well, cable's certainly dying off to a certain extent, though I don't feel that it's going to be completely killed off
Yeah,
because there's always going to be folks who will want to have a seat and watch what's on TV, but
yeah,
ultimately, social media is growing, it's getting more adoption. As we saw with the Trump interview, 250 million impressions in the first day. That's gigantic, and I think
yeah.
it can continue to grow from there.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the beauty of the social media was how like with the with the televised debate, it's like they kind of have the usual cable ratings, but then with the social media, you get the on social media what counts as the views. And yeah, I think he last I checked he had 240 to 250 million views. It was like the most viewed social media video or post like ever, I think. Um, and then I think also for Elon Musk and X, like it's a good, it's good to have that content on his platform for for X to take off more. I know that X is like it's supposed to be like the social media for SpaceX, like going to Mars, which is kind of cool. But yeah, and kind of the thing about social media. Um, let's see. I know Tucker also he kind of straightforwardly asked like, uh, in terms of the legal cases being brought against Trump, like, they're doing the legal cases. They're trying to put him, they're trying to make him super busy with legal cases so he can't run for president or, um, so, he'll be put in prison. And I mean, he even outwardly asked, like, do you think they're like trying to kill you to Trump? And what do you think of that kind of situation?
There's certainly crazies out there, and we have to hope that our elected officials stay safe and pray that the division reduces in this country. I agree, there's absolutely some wild people out there, and violence is not the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like, um, the legal cases are happening. I think their goal is for him to be put in prison, and in terms of like, anything beyond that, I mean, there's a possibility, but I think, focusing, I think, in terms of like what happened with John F. Kennedy in history is kind of, there's like, some controversy of like, oh, what was the government's views at the time and everything. So, I mean, we have a government we have to improve, but, I think, yeah, main thing's the legal cases. And do you think he's going to win the election or?
It's going to be hard. I think they're going to absolutely try to rig it again in those blue cities in swing states. That's what they did in 2020. It's going to be hard to beat that, but if we overwhelmingly get out to the polls, we can win. But I think a question that I'll pose to you is,
Yeah.
do you think President Trump can get a fair trial in Fulton County, Georgia?
Yeah, I think, I think in terms of like the legal cases, the court proceedings, the juries. I mean, I think we have a long time between now and the first like trial. I think talking about this is just like so ridiculous, but like it's like all right, we should be like making America great again right now. But yeah, I think like. I think we have a lot of time between now and the next, or the first like court case, and I think, with this kind of situation, we really have to return to like our faith, as a country, and like for me personally, or I think for the country and for me personally, like our Christian ideals and how, I think God has a plan with what's going on. And I mean, literally, he is like, I think, the country, humanity, the country's in a situation where he really is like the only person who can save like the country. And I mean, I'd even say like the world right now. And I think in terms of historical events, like the situation has kind of it's been like a long time coming. It's been like building up for a while, and now it's kind of like, hey, we got these two sides. We got one man with, kind of the answer of, hey, we need to, make America great again. We need to return to tradition and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I think with a combination of like Christian faith, things kind of naturally solving themselves in the country, like politically and culturally. I think by the time like we get that first jury, I mean, maybe even the case will be dismissed, but that'd be great. But like dismissing the case, but if we have a trial, I think by then, I think anyone in their right mind most people in their right mind will be, and hopefully most people on the jury will be like, hey, we have to have a fair jury. Like, this guy's not guilty, So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great point. We know he's not guilty, but I think the challenge is getting the fair trial on the first go round. I don't think that jury pool is going to be fair to President Trump. I think they're biased against him. I don't think they'll give him a fair shake. And I think no matter how compelling the evidence, they'll rule him guilty. But on appeal, I think that's where Trump has the potential to get a favorable ruling that shows that he's not guilty, that dismisses the fraud against him and the movement. Ultimately, it's going to be a tough case because they're rapidly bringing this up. The first hearing, I believe, is right before Super Tuesday. They're absolutely trying to interfere in the election process. They're trying to take away your right to choose the candidate that you want. And